is it that the famous chef Julia Child, Flamenco Beach, and sharks have in common? Don't scroll away, you're going to find out. Famous Flamenco Beach on the island of Culebra in the archipelago of Puerto Rico. 1.5 miles long, crescent white sand with aqua blue water. In 2012, the Discovery Channel voted Flamenco Beach the second most beautiful beach in the world. It has a deep and dark history. In 1901, President Theodore Roosevelt issued an executive order placing all of Culebra Island under the jurisdiction of the Navy. Culebra was the premier global training island that eventually expanded into the intense aerial and ship-to-shore bombardment practices that lasted until 1975. Culebra was the training ground for Operation Neptune, the largest sea-to-land invasion in human history, part of the larger Operation Overlord. This included the invasion of Normandy. In 1945, the story of the USS Indianapolis is one of the most tragic chapters of World War II. It was a top-secret mission, and the ship was hit by Japanese torpedoes. Roughly 900 men were left floating, and after 3 days, only 300 were alive. The majority were attacked by the oceanic white-tip shark. It remains the most famous shark attack and created the impetus for the shark repellent research by the Navy. They chose Flamenco Beach as the place to test the shark repellent. Now let's hear from Lourdes Feliciano, the daughter of Don Monchin Feliciano, the mayor at that time.
Okay, let's go back to the 1966 when we got shark pen in Flamenco Beach. That was an experiment that the Navy was doing about built a repellent to protect the divers from the sharks. They got many different kind of sharks, like bull sharks, tiger sharks, hammerhead sharks. And my experience there was that when one of the species saw my shadow in the water, he was a little alert and throw a bite to my shadow. I was scared and I started running to my father's where he was standing. And one of the points I want to bring today either was that Culebra never fights against the Americans. We fight the American system. What was happening for those days was very hard and tough for us to live with. So there we make the decision to sue the Navy. Finally, we win the sue in the 18th of October, 1975. Culebra have a good experience trying to build the repellent, but the repellent never works. But we have the experience to catch the sharks and try to understand the different species. It was a little surprised that finally in 2015 we went to an NGO's meeting at Washington, D.C., and we surprisingly met the scientist that was in that work at Flamenco. We spoke to her quite of time, asking her why they did the project in Culebra, and each one of them was in a different cage. They cannot be together. I was 8 at that time.
Thank you, Lourdes Feliciano, owner of the landmark Minnie Moss hardware store here on Culebra Island, as well as Culebra Marine Center, where licensed divers can rent scuba tanks or fill their own. After the tragic sinking of the USS Indianapolis, the Navy scrambled to develop a program to deter shark attacks. This is the actual memo that launched the program, the Navy in concert with the CIA. Captain Harold Jefferson Coolidge, Jr., a prominent zoologist working at the famous Museum of Natural History in Cambridge, Massachusetts, at Harvard, he was assigned to this project. His assistant was Julia McWilliams, who you recognize as Julia Child, the beloved culinary icon. After testing over 100 different mixtures, including various poisons and rotten shark flesh, her team cooked up a formula called Shark Chaser. The recipe was a mix of copper acetate and black dye, pressed into small, disc-shaped cakes. The copper acetate was meant to mimic the smell of decaying shark, which scientists believed would naturally repel the living sharks. When submerged, the cake dissolved over 6 to 7 hours, releasing a chemical alongside a cloud of ink to obscure the sailors from view. The real-world effectiveness was mixed. It was illogical to expect it to stop a large, aggressive shark in a feeding frenzy. Despite the shaky science, the Army, Navy, and Coast Guard scrambled to get it. Even if it didn't completely stop a shark, it provided a massive psychological boost, giving a terrified stranded sailor a physical tool to protect themselves, which drastically lowered the panic response, coincidentally reducing the number of shark attacks. We thank Don Monchin Feliciano, the Rescue Culebra Committee, and the residents of Culebra, as well as our allies in Washington who won the lawsuit to expel the Navy, which eventually left in 1975. What was once a bombing range and sharks in cages is now a peaceful beach. Let us strive to keep Flamenco Beach's natural beauty so fish, turtles, birds, and people can enjoy the natural light, the night sky, the clear water, and the remaining living reef.